Okay. First of all, let me read a letter dated March 26th, addressed to the council. Dear councilors, I'm pleased to nominate Dana Rutherford to the position of Clerk Magistrate of the Dorchester Division of the Boston Municipal Court. I submit this nomination for the advice and consent of the Executive Council pursuant to Part 2, Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Sincerely, Maura Healy, Governor. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Before we start, well, why don't we do this first? I know you have some distinguished folks here today, so let's hear from them first. The first one on the list is the Honorable Jonathan Tynes. We'll hear from him first.
Thank you. Good morning, Council. I see you. Good morning, councilors. And it's nice to make the acquaintance of those who I have not met until today. So thank you for this opportunity. Today is a great day. Today is an important day. It's a great day for Dana Rutherford and his family, and it's a great day, an important day for the Dorchester Division of the Boston Municipal Court. The position of Clerk Magistrate is critically important in any court, none more so than in Dorchester. Dorchester is a truly community court. It's diverse, it's a dynamic community with incredible people. The court is a place where people come not simply to adjudicate cases, but to seek help. I can share with you numerous occasions where an individual has come to court when they don't even have a case pending, seeking a specific court officer, clerk, probation officer, or judge, just because they needed someone to listen to them. And the only place they felt safe coming was Dorchester Court. The clerk's office is the primary point of contact for the public when they come to the court, and the clerk magistrate is the face of the court for those individuals. As the first justice of the court, it is paramount to the functioning of the court to have a first-class, efficient, organized, and well-run clerk's office. Dorchester is one of, if not the busiest courts in the Commonwealth, not simply in the number of cases, but in terms of cases. Our clerk's office handles more cases than any other court in the Boston Municipal Court, with half of the staff that some of those courts have. The relationship between the judiciary and the clerk magistrate is critical. It is symbiotic. The clerk's office is the heart of the court office, and if it is not functioning properly, the court cannot function at all. So you can see why I say this is an important day for the Dorchester Division of the Boston Municipal Court. Now let me tell you why it's a great day. It's a great day because Dana Rutherford is before this wise council to be considered to join this great court. And Dana Rutherford is a great man. I've known Dana and his wife Tanya for 20 years. When we met, I was a supervising assistant district attorney in Roxbury. Roxbury, like Dorchester, is a diverse and dynamic community. It's a community court. I was instantly impressed when I met Dana. We were very frequently in court together, and he was always prepared, organized, efficient, ready to work, and anyone who knows him, he's all business. More importantly, however, he was thoughtful, courteous, respectful, and kind to everyone. The trial court's mission statement is access to justice with speed and dignity. Few, if any, folks come to court on their best day, and often they come and leave feeling less than dignified. Dana Rutherford brings dignity to the court, and by his nature, he ensures that others who he interacts with receive not only access to justice, but receive it with dignity. Out of respect for everyone's time, and in the advice of Councilor Kennedy, I will wrap up my remark. I could go on and on about how excited and energized I am about this nomination, and more importantly, about this man. I'll close by saying that both personally and professionally, I respect and admire Dana Rutherford. He's a man of integrity, a man of character, and a man of purpose. I mentioned earlier that he's all business, which is true, but woven into that is compassion, empathy, and a strong commitment to the community. Dana, his beautiful wife, Tanya, and their amazing son, Stefan, live in the community that he will be serving if this council sees fit. I have absolutely no question that Dana Rutherford will bring all of the aforementioned qualities as a clerk magistrate of the Dorchester Division of the Boston Municipal Court. I could not be more elated for Dana, and as first justice, I couldn't be more excited for Dorchester Court. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Councilor Kennedy is so anxious. He's fallen out of his seat. He can ask me.
To take that same advice, I'm optimistic.
I would never try to equal up to.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Next, we'll hear from the Honorable Emily Costello. Good morning.
Thank you. It is both an honor and a privilege to be here to speak on behalf of Dana Rutherford. I was admonished by Councilor Kennedy to keep it short, And so while Dana is many things, I am going to talk about only 3 of them. The first I want to impart to all of you is that he is fair. The second is that he is thoughtful. And third, that he is compassionate. He is a fair, thoughtful, compassionate professional. I got to know Dana over 13 years ago when I was a lawyer and I practiced in the Malden District Court, not frequently, but I did some show cause hearings in front of Dana. And I was very impressed because he was open, he listened, he took his time, he was patient, and he asked the appropriate questions. As the first justice of the Malden District Court, he has been working as an assistant clerk magistrate there with me for the 13 years that I've been a judge. I sat in Malden early in my career as a judge, and now for the last 6 years, I think I've been the presiding judge there. And not that long ago, there was an appeal of a show cause hearing where Dana had been the clerk magistrate. And the appeal was not because the folks had felt that they had been treated unfairly, but simply because Dana had decided not to issue the complaint. And so I was listening to the hearing because hearings, as you know, are now recorded. And I was extremely impressed with how Dana handled the hearing. Everyone got to speak, everyone got to say what they needed to say. And even though he was ruling against one side, he did it in the kindest way possible. And I saw absolutely no reason to upset the decision that he made in the hearing. He had to make a judgment call as to credibility. And as I say, I didn't see anything to change. He does not at any time impart any kind of negative judgment of anyone. He is always respectful and always professional. I have never had a moment of hearing Dana gossip about someone or tell a story that was inappropriate or disrespectful about a litigant. And these things happen with some regularity in the district court, but it doesn't come from Dana. My interactions with Dana as a judge are as in the sessions, and Judge Tynes mentioned that he is always organized and prepared. That is true, and I appreciate that very much. But I especially like working with Dana in the trial session because he has a real appreciation of the solemnity of the proceedings. And it is something that I really enjoy hearing Dana say, which country you are to the jurors, because he understands the import of what he's doing in the sessions. Life has thrown a number of unenviable challenges at Dana, and I think that is what gives him his compassion. And there are lots of people, I think, that those challenges might knock down, but not Dana. Dana is a strong, compassionate, decent, fair, thoughtful, compassionate professional. He is the consummate professional. He personifies a dedication to the principle that everyone deserves access to justice. And so it is a sad day in addition to being a great day, because the gain of the Dorchester court is the loss of the Malden District Court. If you see fit to vote for him, which I enthusiastically urge you to do, it will be a great loss for Malden, and we will miss you. I will personally miss you. My personal feelings aside, it will be a great day for the Dorchester District Court. So thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. Any questions of the judge? Thank you very much, Judge. Good to see you.
Me.
Because you're right across from me.
Not sure, Judge, that you followed his instructions. You were a little longer than he.
I thought so too.
I didn't say more.
I
That's
thought she
okay.
was just great.
What do you got in Malden tomorrow, did you say?
Wait, did I miss Judge Gonzalez?
She was so brief.
Yes,
I
Counselor.
have questions for her.
The time has passed. The time has passed. Now we're gonna hear from Dana Rutherford. Before we hear from you, I know you have some family members, friends. If you want to introduce them at this point, that's fine.
Absolutely, thank you. Sitting right behind me is my lovely wife, Tanya.
Good morning.
There's also Clerk Magistrate Sharon Casey of the Cambridge District
We
Court.
may have met her once or twice up here.
Jay Ferraro, one of her assistants. Judge Nestor. Myra Hemingway, First Assistant, Cambridge District Court. One of my best friends, Ed Amos, clerk in Dorchester. The clerk of Malden District Court, Erica Colombo. The clerk of Charlestown District Court, Helen White. My good friend, Attorney Joe Amoroso. And I can't see my glass. Who is that?
Valerie.
She's from the governor's house.
Works here, kind of works here for like 45 years.
Judge Archia, Caesar Archia, the first justice of Haverhill District Court.
Thank you, but before we hear from you, is there anyone in opposition to the nomination of Dana Rutherford? No one in opposition. That will conclude that portion of the hearing. At this point, I do want to introduce the other members of the council. To my left here, Councilor Eunice Ziegler, Councilor Terry Kennedy, Councilor Paul DiPaolo. To my right, Councilor Joseph Ferreira, and farther down is Councilor Mara Dolan. Thank you. Now we'll hear from you.
Good morning. I am extremely grateful and it is truly an honor to be here before all of you today. I especially would like to thank Governor Healy and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll for the nomination. I also extend a thank you to the JNC for their time and attention to my application. Councilor Iannello for his support and advice, General Counsel Paige Scott Reed, Deputy Counsel Dara Kesselheim, Program Coordinator Kimberly Baptiste, Valerie McCarthy, and her team for their work in making this process go smoothly. I would also like to acknowledge Clerk Magistrate Erica Colombo, First Justice Emily Carstetter of the Malden Court for their endless encouragement throughout this entire process. And my fellow 18 clerks, assistant clerk magistrates from the Malden District Court who have been 100% supportive of my desire to become a clerk magistrate of the Dorchester Division of the Boston Municipal Court. A special thank you to my wife, Tanya. I would not be sitting here if it weren't for your undying support. And to my oldest son, Jordan, your support has been unwavering. I know all of you have plenty of information about me, but I would like to take a few minutes to tell my personal story. I was born in Springfield, Mass, and at the age of 6 months, I relocated to Baltimore, Maryland until the age of 9. Younger brother and I returned to Springfield. Even though I returned at 9, I considered Baltimore my first home, and I was a diehard Baltimore Colts fan. Now I'm an Indianapolis Colts fan. It's very difficult because I'm here in the land of Patriot territory. I have 2 younger brothers raised by parents in a house of discipline and plenty of love. We were taught early on to be stewards of our neighborhood and community. Education was always a priority in my household. However, school did not always come easily for me. But my mother always tackled things she was afraid of, and she taught me to do the same. I attended public schools and was the first to graduate college in our household. I graduated from college. Once I graduated from college, my mother decided to pursue her own college degree and enrolled in community college. After receiving her associate's degree, she went on to earn a bachelor's degree while working as a teacher's aide, and then she became a full-fledged teacher and earned her master's degree in education. My mother retired from teaching, only a few credits short from earning her PhD. When I first started out, my career really focused on developing leadership skills and management. That has turned out to be helpful as an assistant clerk magistrate. For a while, I worked as a project manager for Raytheon and Erickson. I ran projects in New York, Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, Las Vegas, Atlanta, New Orleans, and Baton Rouge. I also spent 3 months in Osaka, Japan, learning how to build light rail vehicles, which are essentially like the Orange Line trains that we have, without the breakdowns and slowdowns. At this time, my home base was Dallas, Texas. I returned to Boston to be closer to my son, who was attending high school. And my experience in the courts began in 2005. I started at the ground level as a case specialist in Roxbury District Court Clerk's office. The job was hard, the pay was low, but I found the work to be fascinating, challenging, and very rewarding. I adapted quickly to the work requirements and culture of the clerk's office, and after a year, I was promoted to an assistant clerk magistrate. I also met my wife, Tanya, who was an assistant district attorney at the Roxbury Court. As a clerk magistrate, you have to have both management and leadership skills. I learned those skills first as a project manager, and those same skills will be invaluable as a clerk magistrate in the Dorchester District Court. My desire to be the clerk magistrate of the district court is rooted in my understanding the needs of the court and of my community. I believe I will have a positive impact based upon my track record, level of commitment, and dedication. The Dorchester Court serves a very diverse demographic. It is important to me that the leadership I will provide be reflective of that community. My career and experience has prepared me well to be the clerk magistrate of the Dorchester Court. I love what I do and what the job represents to the court and to the community. I've been very fortunate to work in the Roxbury Division of the Boston Municipal Court, the Central Division of the Boston Municipal Court, and the Malden District Court. My experience as a manager and proven leadership skills in the private sector and in the trial court have been invaluable on my journey to being nominated for the clerk magistrate of the Dorchester Court. A picture of who I am would be incomplete without telling you about my 2 sons. My wife and I have a 13-year-old son, Stefan, who's on the autism spectrum and currently nonverbal. Excuse me. Stefan is enrolled in the New England Center for Children in Southborough, and he is thriving. Having a son with autism has given me a unique perspective to recognize and assist people who require more attention and guidance to navigate the district court process. My eldest son, Jordan, from a previous marriage, graduated from Assumption College in Worcester and leads a life of public service also. He has been a Worcester firefighter for 9 years. He has 3 sons who refer to me as Pop Pop. I'm very proud of both of my sons. I would like to thank you for listening to my story and considering my application. I have every confidence that I will excel in the position of clerk magistrate of the Dorchester Division of the Boston Municipal Court. I humbly ask that you confirm my nomination for that position.
Thank you very much. Councilman Ziegler, any questions?
I always do. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. I appreciate the time that you took to have a conversation with me prior to today and allow me to get to understand you a little bit more as a person and as a candidate. We talked about your 19 years of experience as an assistant clerk. And I asked you, why now? You expressed that you were ready, you were committed, you wanted to make sure that the court ran efficiently, and you talked about your experience. I also asked you about your strength, the strength that you would bring to this role. To elaborate on that conversation here in public. And so can you talk about the greatest strength that you bring to this role?
For me, my greatest strengths are leadership and team building. You can be a leader, but if you don't have a team behind you, you're just an empty suit. So a court is dynamic as Dorchester. You have to have a strong leader, you have to have team. You have to have strong teams, cohesive teams, because you can't do it by yourself. And that's where I excel.
It's very important is we also talked about the needs of Dorchester Court and how there are many resources that are lacking or needing of expansion relative to interpreter resources. And can you talk about your priorities as a clerk to expanding some of those resources?
Certainly. One of the requirements, a huge requirement, where resources are a little light is interpreter services. We have to be a little creative now. I mean, we use the language line, Google translates. However, there are so many sessions that require in-person interpreters, such as evidentiary motions in jury trials. I know that interpreter services is tackling the problem, but we have to be creative. If you have people in the clerk's office who are bilingual, they can help out in times of dire need. There's also a need for more duty attorneys. I mean, every court in the Commonwealth is going through this struggle, and it's something that, you know, if some action committee is formed, that it should be tackled.
Also in the court that you're looking to be clerk of, that community is so diverse, right? So I'm Haitian American, and there are many Haitian Americans or Haitian individuals that live in the area. And so many of their first interactions would be with the clerk.
Right.
Not necessarily with the judge. And so that being so, how would you ensure that their first interaction is one that is positive?
Well, for people in the clerk's office, our goal, the goal is perfection, but the standard is consistency. A court like Dorchester, we have to have all hands on deck in terms of Portuguese, Spanish, Haitian Creole, Vietnamese, to help out when the people first approach, because the clerk's office is the gateway. It's your first interaction. We have to be professional. We have to be empathetic, and it has to be access for all. So all waves come ashore. We have to do our best with the resources that we have and use everything at our disposal to give assistance to people.
I appreciate that. And I want to call out and share my appreciation for the fact that you've been so open and vulnerable in this process. You talked with humility and care about your family. You talked about both your sons and how they would impact your ability to interact with folks and to ensure that the clerk's office was one of empathy and could really identify whether there were certain behaviors or certain disabilities that individuals come to that office with. One of the things you mentioned in our conversation was your ability to assess if someone is struggling, and, looking at different social cues or physical cues of not making eye contact and things of that nature. I think that's very keen. I haven't heard that from a clerk candidate before, but that's important. And that relies on that trauma-informed lens. So we talk about that a lot. It's very important to me that, a candidate is really thinking in that scope of the traumas that someone may be coming into the court with or coming to the office with. And so I appreciate you calling that out, saying that. Last question, we also talked about managing staff, right? Can you talk a little bit more about how you intend to support your staff to be the most well-run and efficient staff team in the for the clerk's office?
I support my team. I think that's a non-starter. It's easy for me because you see the dedication that people come to work with every day. It's not an easy job. And people want to move up. And I support that wholeheartedly. If you're a case specialist and you're trying to become a case coordinator, you have to perform to a certain standard. I encourage that. I encourage team building. I think as a leader and a manager, you can't be silent. You have to meet frequently with your staff and set out goals and milestones for them to hit where you can assist. Things of that nature.
Appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to answer my questions, and congratulations on getting to this stage.
Thank you very much.
Counselor Kennedy.
Well, I don't have any questions, obviously, because I've known you since the day you started practically in Roxbury. But I just want to point out, as I've been walking around since you started this process way back in the beginning of time, everybody says to me, is Dana going to be okay? Is Dana going to be okay? It's not even Dana Rutherford, just Dana, everywhere I go. I've received countless calls, including this morning from presiding judge Dave Frank of the Cambridge District Court. Dan Hogan called me this morning in support of you, and countless other ones. Your chairperson is obviously very supportive of you, despite what he did to you yesterday. Yeah, so you're good. I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Counselor DePaulo.
Thank you, Counselor. Good morning. It's a pleasure to meet you this morning. We had a great conversation yesterday. And I know I said I'd ask you a couple questions. Rather than that, I'll just say why I'm impressed with you so that we don't have to belabor this, because we've heard all these topics already brought up. You have a true trauma lens. It's not a, it's not a surface level, be kind to people. You understand trauma. You shared that in your family life as well. We spoke about issuance of criminal complaints as it relates to historical disparities and racial disparities in criminal justice in Massachusetts and your perspective on that. You talked about access to justice around Zoom hearings, so folks aren't coming in, and I know this is common practice, but so that folks aren't coming in and disrupting their whole lives to appeal a traffic citation. Notoriously hard to get a hold of, according to some people, and usually this week it was because Counselor Iannella and Counselor Kennedy kept calling me about you, making sure that I was good, which of course I was, but these are two men who don't leave anything to chance. But I had a great conversation with you. Thank you to your son for serving Worcester, and I look forward to supporting you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Counselor. Counselor Joseph Ferreira.
Thank you. Well, you and I had a long, prolonged chat the other day, and I appreciate your time. As we discussed, despite Terry Kennedy, I'm still going to vote for you. Counselor Iannella is a big fan of yours. He called me right away, twisting my arm saying I better vote for you. So you have two great admirers there. When I was a police chief, we used to talk about being a chief is like sitting on a three-legged stool, and you needed the support of your the public and the bosses. And it looks like you've navigated that world well, and you have support of the bosses and your staff and the public at large. I get a lot of calls about you, and you strike me as someone who's going to be humble. I've been to thousands of clerks hearings when I was a police officer, as a lawyer too. And 98% of the people are great. And once in a while you run into that clerk who just treats people wrong. And I don't see you ever doing that. So I appreciate your years of service. I want to thank you for that. I'm glad that when you mentioned that you're going to have interpreters, you included the Portuguese. Thank you very much. And I do want to give a special shout out to our dear friend Sharon Casey, who guided us through appointing the first 125 judges under the Baker-Polito administration. So great to have you in the room. Great to have all these great, fans of yours. It's just incredible. You got quite a fan base here.
Thank you.
So
Looking forward to voting for you next week.
Thank you very much. Counselor Dolan.
Thank you so much. Well, what I really want to ask you is what Counselor Iannella did to you yesterday, but given how highly he speaks of you, I'm sure it was not effectively.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. He does have a good sense of humor. I gotta give him that much.
Based on our conversation, I frankly think you have a good everything. I was really impressed with you. the thought that you've given to all the issues, the experience you have, your temperament, your insights. And I always like to give a shout out to people who have a liberal arts degree. I know you got a bachelor's degree in social science and a minor in history. I think it's critically important in this kind of work that liberal arts inform people about humanity, help us to be more humane and to connect with others in a more humane way. I was really struck by something you said in your application. We talked about it. This was something that had happened where a defendant had come to you prior to arraignment and pointed out that there were inaccuracies in the police report. Can you tell us about what you did and what your process is in a situation like that?
Certainly,
I've never heard of that. I've been practicing law a long time.
it's something that I do. A gentleman came to the counter, presented well. He said someone referred me to him and perhaps that I could look at something. When I read this police report. So I asked him who, he gave the name. So I respected that. I read the police report and it was just glaring, full of inconsistencies, poorly written. Asked him what happened, complete 180. So the truth is always somewhere in the middle. But I got a sense from him that I'm getting the shaft here. Okay, he had a lot at stake. It's his job, he worked for the state. So after reading the police report, there were things that I noticed like body cam footage and cell phone footage. It didn't reveal anything that the other people said that he did. So I took it to one of the supervising ADAs who I have an excellent relationship with. And I said, you want to look at this? I said, I think there's some glaring inconsistency here. And he did, and there were, and they forestalled the arraignment. Long story short, the charges were reduced, felony to a misdemeanor. He got a cloth, he kept his job.
I appreciate all that work. And as I said many times, and as we've discussed, I think public safety comes first. So I asked you what factors you take into account when considering the public safety issue involving someone who appears before you. Can you just tell us what those factors were?
Physical violence, just the severity of the complaint. I mean, if you're before a clerk magistrate, it's supposed to be a misdemeanor. Sometimes some things slip through. If the complainant is in a state of fear, and if there's probable cause there, you know, I try to craft as many solutions as I can. I try not to give people cords because once the cord is in your business, it never goes away. It affects your education, your housing, employment, everything. But at the sake of public safety, when public safety is at stake, you should not hesitate to do the right thing. Pull the trigger, issue the complaint. So.
I just have one more question for you. I know that you believe deeply in upholding the rule of law. That is a presidential administration that does not. We just saw in a Massachusetts court, ICE going in the middle of a trial, detaining someone, and the ICE agent was ultimately held in contempt of court. Just, do you have any thoughts about your being ready, willing, and able to deal with whatever you may face as a result of this?
Yes, I'm not afraid to do my job. Okay, I always tell people in my office, you can't be afraid to do your job. Okay, and you can't be afraid to make a mistake. Okay, we're in district court. If we make mistakes, they can be corrected. I did see Judge Somerville on the news. And Judge Somerville is not afraid. I clerked for Judge Somerville before. I know how he is. As for me and for the things that are happening across the nation now, it's tragic. Institutions are being destroyed, but what we do here, I mean, we can mitigate things in this world as much as we can. Okay, we have to be united. Things that are going on now, it's really tough to swallow.
I told you I loved everything you said in our interview. I love everything you said just now, and I'm.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. I don't have any questions. We had a nice conversation, yesterday. No, I played an April Fool's show. Basically what happened, everyone's like, what did he say? He called me up, or I called him up. I said, listen, I've done a lot of research and I hate to say this, but let me tell you, I'm not gonna be able to support you. And I'm the chairman of the committee, and I carry a lot of weight, you know, because I'm the chairman, but, you know, there's always another time. He goes, before I go any further, what's today's date? He goes, it was good. We had a little fun. It was good. I was 4 for 4 yesterday on my jokes. I was 4 for 4. 4 jokes and I did a good job. Okay, having said that, now I liked your presentation. You got a lot of distinguished people here today who clearly support you. Your work experience, you've been involved in the court system for, I don't know, 20 plus years. Yeah, 100% have my support. And your name comes up this afternoon. If we finish pretty soon, it'll come up within the next 15 minutes if you want to stay around. But no, it's great. You're going to be a great addition to the Dorchester District Court. And it's good to see everybody here today. And hopefully in 15 minutes, it'll be even a better day for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom, our work with clarity and accuracy, and our decision with impartiality. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, the republic which it stands, a nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Afternoon, everyone. You guys have had a full morning. It's good to see some folks who used to sit in this chamber back here. I'd like to recognize Counselor Kennedy for a motion to record advice and consent for the financial warrant.
So move, Governor.
Seconded by Counselor Ferrer. All those in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it. I'd like to recognize Counselor DiPaolo for a motion to record advice and consent for the pending list of notaries public and justices of the peace.
So moved.
Is there a second? Seconded by Counselor Ziegler. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. I'd like to recognize Counselor Ferrer for a motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of Robert Palumbo to the position of Clerk Magistrate of the Barnstable Town of Plymouth Juvenile Court.
Excellent nomination. Pleased to make that motion.
Fantastic. Seconded by Counselor Kennedy. Any additional questions or comments? If not, I will ask Valerie to please call the roll.
Counselor DiPaolo,
Yes. Yes.
Counselor Dolan,
Yes.
Counselor Minella,
Yes.
Counselor Ziegler,
Yes.
Counselor Kennedy.
Yes.
6 members voting, 6 in the affirmative, the matter carries. I'd now like to recognize, well, Counselor Jacobs is not here, so maybe I could ask Counselor DiPaolo for a motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of John Stocks to the position of Clerk Magistrate of the Springfield District Court.
So moved.
And is there a second? Seconded by Counselor Ziegler. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, Valerie, if you wouldn't mind calling the roll, great.
Yes.
Counselor Dolan,
Yes.
Counselor Ayala,
Yes.
Counselor Ziegler,
Yes.
Counselor Kennedy,
Yes.
Counselor DiPaolo,
Yes.
6 members voting, 6 in the affirmative, the matter carries. I also understand the council has agreed to vote on Mr. Rutherford, who had his hearing this morning. So I'd like to recognize Counselor Ianella for a motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of Dana Rutherford to the position of Clerk Magistrate of the Boston Municipal Court.
I'd like to make that motion for Dana Rutherford as the Clerk Magistrate of the Dorchester Division of the Boston Municipal Court. Great appointment.
Second.
Thank you, Counselor Ianella, seconded by Counselor Kennedy. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I'd ask Valerie to please call the roll.
Counselor Dolan,
Yes.
Counselor Ayala,
Yes.
Counselor Ziegler,
Yes.
Counselor Kennedy,
Yes.
DiPaolo,
Yes.
Counselor Ferrer,
Yes. 6 members voting, 6 in the affirmative, the matter carries. It's not often that we're able to make the votes with the actual nominee here in the room, so that's special. And with that, I think our business is concluded. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made by Counselor Ziegler, seconded by Counselor DiPaolo. All those in favor? All of those opposed?
Aye.
The ayes have it. All right, we stand adjourned.